What's up, guys? My name is David Pierce Tuttle, and today I'm here to show you how to make 3D promotional Facebook flyers like this. Let's dive in. Creating 3D flyers on Facebook is super unique and a really creative way, in my opinion, to promote your next gig or event. It will definitely catch your audience's attention scrolling up and down through the feed. So basically the premise of this is that we're going to be creating two versions of the same flyer, and we're going to be combining them into one in an app on our phones that lets us turn it into a portrait style photo, which then can be uploaded to Facebook and made into a 3D photo. So once you have Photoshop, download Depth Cam on your phone. I'll link it below. It's $4.99 on the App Store right now, and I really only use it for this purpose, but it's never done me wrong, so I think it's pretty cool. So once you have both of those ready, we're ready to begin. Let's go to Photoshop. As you can see, we basically have three layers: a background, a middle ground layer, and a foreground layer. These three layers coincide with where they will sit on the 3D plane. So let's start fresh and create a new project. Go to File, New, or Command N on your keyboards, and we're going to create a project that's 1125 pixels by 1500 pixels tall. We're going to make it this size because Facebook will ultimately compress everything in, and we want a 4:5 aspect ratio when it posts on the news feed, or a 1080 by 1350. So this just gives us some padding. Make sure your resolution is at 300 and your background contents are transparent. Then you're ready. Hit create and we're ready to go. Now we're going to import our media that we are going to use for our three layers. Go to File, Open, or Command O on your keyboards. And in this case, I've created a folder with our three pictures that we're going to use: a background, a logo, and then a promo pic. I'm going to hit Command A to select all and hit Enter to open them. Once they've opened, let's start with the background. So hit Command A to select all, and then making sure you're on your select tool, or you can hit the letter V on your keyboard, click and drag this onto our project layer. Now it's too big, so we need to zoom out by hitting Command minus, and we're gonna transform this and scale it to size. So go to Edit, Free Transform, or Command T on your keyboards, and let's scale it down. In fact, if you hold Option while doing this, it will scale it in evenly from all sides. Now we can center it, and we want this vertical, so let's flip it. If we right click on it, rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise. Now let's zoom in, Command plus, so we can see things again. And this is looking pretty good. Let's get this centered and hit enter. But you know, I actually kind of want this on this side, so let's free transform again, or Command T, and right click, rotate 180 degrees. Ooh, that looks pretty cool there. I like it how it's up top. And let's see, let's center it. That looks pretty good there. Now let's move on to our middle ground layer. Actually, before we do that, let's rename this background, because it's always good to stay organized. So let's go to our middle ground layer, which is the promo pic of Magoo. We need to select her out from the background and remove the background, and thankfully Photoshop does a really good job of doing this automatically for us. So let's come down here and unlock the layer, click on the lock icon, come up here and hit select subject. Photoshop will do its magic and it will select what it thinks is the subject from this photo, in which case it has. But it's not perfect. As you can see, it's missed some between her legs and also behind her hair here next to her face. You can go in and use the quick selection tool, or W on your keyboards, and you could zoom in and you could fine tune this and use the bracket keys to change your brush size. Hold the Option and cut out some of this stuff, add some in, get it to your liking. But once you have it, let's just say it's good for now. Let's zoom back out, fit to screen, zoom out one more. Let's just say that's good for the sake of this tutorial. Come up here and click remove background. It will ask you if you want to discard your current selection, which we do. Click enter or hit OK, and it will remove the background. Now this looks pretty good. So come up to your selection tool, make sure, or click V, and click and drag your subject onto our project. And again, we need to scale her to size. Let's zoom out. Command T to transform. Let's scale her in completely. Now, because Facebook will compress in, we want to make sure that we're not touching the sides or coming too close, but I think that looks good about there. Hit enter. And rename the layer Middle Ground. Magoo pick. Okay, lastly, we need to do our foreground layer, which is the Banana Camp logo with their text. So let's move this over again by clicking V on our keyboards and clicking and dragging this onto our project layer. Command minus to zoom out. Command T to transform. We need to keep zooming. Hold Option to scale this in evenly. Now let's zoom back in. Command 0 to fit the screen. Command minus to get it looking good. And now let's move this around. Put it in place. And if you hover up here in the center, you can see you can click and you can rotate it a bit, which I kind of like that. And then hit enter when you're good. Now, if you tried making this a 3D photo just as it is here, this text would get lost in the 3D. If it's tiny text, it will get lost. So in this case, I suggest adding a heavy stroke to it. So I kind of want to make this white so it obviously pops out against her shirt, and it has a black stroke to it. So first, let's rename this foreground logo, and let's click effects, color overlay, because we want to make this white. It already did it for us. Let's click OK, and then click effects again. Let's go to stroke. We're going to add a black stroke. It's on the outside. I kind of like how this looks, except I think I want it a little bit thicker. Maybe, I think 18 is the best. And click OK. And now we're looking pretty good. This looks like it'd be a finished flyer. So now to move on, what we need to do is we're going to need to create a depth map picture of this flyer. And to do that, we need to add a color overlay to each one of these layers. So before we do that, because we've stylized this foreground layer, the logo, with a stroke, you could add color to it, you could add other effects, whatever it may be. But once you're ready, you need to make this a smart object so that we can move on to the next step. So right click on the layer, convert to smart object. Now we're ready to start making the depth map. So making sure your top layer is selected, or your foreground layer, come down here to FX again, color overlay, and this time click on your color palette here. Make sure that only web colors are selected so that you have this black, grays, and whites on the side, and these colors are going to coincide with where they sit in the 3D plane. Black is in the foreground, white is in the background. So because we want this logo to be in the front, let's make it black. We'll click OK, OK again, and we're gonna go do this for each layer. Color overlay, let's make this one gray so it sits in the middle. OK, OK. In the background, let's make white so that it stays in the background. Hit OK, or click enter. OK. Now we're ready to export the photos. Go up to File, Export, Save for Web Legacy. Make sure that JPEG is selected in the upper right hand corner and the quality is set to 100. And click Save. I'm going to save this in the same folder that I did before, and I'm going to call this depthmap.jpg. Then I'm going to come down here and turn off all of the effects for each layer. And I'm going to export this. Go to File, Export, Save for Web Legacy. JPEG, quality 100, save. Saving it in the same folder. Name this flyer.jpg. Enter. And there we go. Now we need to send these photos that we just saved to our phones. If you're on an iPhone or Mac like I am, you can just airdrop them to yourself directly from your computer to your phone. So on your computer, find where you save the files, select them, right click, share, airdrop. That'll come up my iPhone. Bam. Now, once they're on your phone, open up the DepthCam app that we downloaded at the beginning of this tutorial. When you open it up, click on the bottom left-hand corner and import at the very top the flyer that we just made. As you can see, it's trying to make its own depth map of the flyer that we just created, but in this case we want to import our own. So if you click on the bottom left-hand corner on the up arrow, click Import Depth Map, and choose the photo that we just saved. As you can see, it's an exact replica, just in grayscale. Now click on the bottom right-hand corner icon with the down arrow and click Save Facebook 3D Photo. Now it's saved to your camera roll, and if you go to your photos and look at your latest one, you'll see that it has portrait in the upper left-hand corner, and this is exactly what we want. So now we're free to go to Facebook, log into whatever page we want, and create a post, click photo video, select the photo we just saved. As you can see, it now has a little 3D in the bottom. Hit done, and lastly, we make it 3D. Facebook will work its magic, and voila! You now have your 3D flyer ready to go. All it's left to do is add a caption. Tune in to the show. You can even add a ticket link or an event link. I think those are great. As people are scrolling, it allows them to actually click through as a call to action. And that's it. There you go. So that's it for this tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys end up making your own 3D flyers for Facebook, please let me know how it goes in the comments below. Tag me on Instagram or on Facebook, on YouTube. Love to see what you guys come up with creatively. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.